Hello there, welcome to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV, and I am your host, Michael Obedu. I'll be bringing you highlights from the world of business in the next 60 minutes, from stories on the fact that inflation is up again, and also that one key commodity that we all can't do without is set to go up in terms of price. If you're ready, let's go. Water, they say, is life, and rather interestingly, to buy that water that will fuel life is now going to cost a bit more. The alert is that you have to brace yourselves to buy a sachet of water for 50 pesos. It is just fascinating that one city that could get you 5 sachets of water at the start of the year will only be able to get you 2 from Monday, 19th September. Nothing else drums home the fact that times are really hard than this. But retailers of sachet and bottled water want the government to regulate the price of the product. This is despite the announcement by producers of an increase in the price of the product from Monday, September 19th.
For the second time this year, the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers has announced an upward adjustment in prices of their products. The decision was arrived at after a meeting by the National Executive Committee of the association. Sachet water will now be sold at 50 pesos, while a bag of sachet water will also sell at 7 Ghana cedis from the retail trucks. Having been in the business of selling directly to shop owners for almost a year, Michael Marty runs me through the price changes over the period.
When I started selling this water, I have a place I take it. So when I go there, the factory price before, in way back March, was 2 cedis. Okay, and it came to 2 cedis 30 pesos. It has been 2 cedis 30 pesos since the last 3 months. Suddenly, just last 2 weeks, let me say last week, the director said he has increased the water from 2 cedis 30 pesos to 3 cedis. We tried to negotiate so that he would understand and feel for the customers. But he was also complaining that he has increased everything.
He laments that the continuous increase in the prices of the water products has affected the quantity his customers purchase.
Before, I used to buy 2 cedis 30 pesos, I sell it 3 cedis 50 pesos. But now, that is 3 cedis. And I have to jump it to 4 cedis 50 pesos.
But from 3 cedis to 4, 5, isn't that too much? Like 1 cedi 50 pesos profit?
Well, before I get more than that.
Has the number of bags that they order reduced because of the price?
Of course, it has reduced. When a fellow is buying 30 bags, now when I go to him, he can buy like 5 bags or 10 bags. He's not going to buy beyond that.
The president of the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers, Magnus Nunu, explains the factors that led to the rise in prices.
If you look at our packaging material, be it the sachet or the bottle, the complete packaging material you see is all imported. The granules are imported, the labels are imported, the caps imported, everything. Even the content we have, which is water, locally sourced. But the filtration materials that we use, some of them are disposable, they are all imported. And so then anytime the cedi falls against any major currency, we have our inputs going up.
Shop owners say they are often faced with a challenge of convincing and explaining the price increases. They argue that the increase in electricity tariff also compelled them to adjust the price.
They say Sena nyama ko isi de ama yenya to be frank ye bre ya e to fit truck mo ena omo so omo be to efi enche no say ya na obia paba because onim say sena ye ton so sisi a ye ton si na ene obeko na ye see price asisa o fifie ba no na enye wadwin ni ho say na ekoso enti say ya na ama wa paba wa e basa.
Hawkers of sachet and bottled water are also faced with similar challenges. They tell Citi News they are unable to make enough sales as compared to previous years.
Every week, they'll be increasing it. We will buy it from like this week, now next week, then they've increased it. So as they've increased it, we need something to support ourselves. When we came to sell, then they will be complaining that why they increasing. The increase is too much.
The sellers, however, are of the view that should government control the prices of the product, the impact would be bearable as compared to the current situation.
Say the boy the too much. I say government no share no on my at least someone your rounds. No who say time JJ was to say your rounds. So I come back at no more who say we say ni boy there. At me your way obi anima baba from now so anye because who come market who kota there ne 5 Citi or 7 Citi. Nanya ebia I can say the 50 pesos na too so. Na say the kasa too soon.
If you were thinking it was just water prices that's going up, then I'm sorry I have to bust your bubble because hotel rates too are likely to go up. The Ghana Hotels Association is threatening to allow its members increased charges by the close of the year if nothing is done about the new utility tariff increment. I'm sure you also felt the pinch at the recent increment in water and electricity tariffs. According to the association, the high cost of goods and services has increased the cost of operations of its members, a situation which is negatively affecting their operations.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) on September 1st began the implementation of new utility tariffs. The 27% adjustment for electricity and 21% for water has largely been criticized by quite a number of people and groups who believe it is not the right way to go considering the current biting economic situation. These issues were key at the 20th Regional General Meeting and swearing in of new Eastern Regional Executives of the Ghana Hotels Association at Dodi in Akosombo. The Eastern Regional Chairman of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Achiadakwa, who has been lamenting how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected members in the Eastern region, says some are yet to recover from the impact. Taxes from other regulatory bodies levied on hoteliers has also become a major challenge affecting members of the Ghana Hotels Association. According to the association, some members are considering shutting down or converting their facilities.
I must be frank with you and honest. The regulatory bodies and the taxes they levy on hoteliers are too much and too many. Such that at times people want to decide they to close down their hotels and use it for educational institutions. Because that one will not suffer that much. Although they have their own challenges, but will not suffer that much. They come, they will say this tax, that tax, this tax, this assembly is coming, municipal assembly is coming, the Ghana Tourism Association, Ghana Tourism Association is coming, the GRA is on you, and other associations. All of them want to tax you. But meanwhile, you are not getting the money.
According to the association, hotel rates will be increased by the end of the year to enable hoteliers break even.
And then again, the huge challenge that has also come right now in the beginning of this September, where we have increased electricity by 27% and then water by 21%. You know, these are major commodity, major consumable items that we use in the hotels. So with this, what is going to happen is that we have to increase the hotel rates. And we are going to see to that before the end of this year, hotel rates will go high.
The national president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Nyameke Aka, is worried and relates his frustrations to Citi News.
It's going to affect our cost of operation because it's 27% average for electricity and then 21% for water. The challenge we are having is that over the past few months, our cost of operation has been very high because of the high cost of living, which we are all very much aware. And now we have the almighty utility tariffs also going up. So what we'll be doing, we'll be looking at the actual impact of the adjusted rates.
On the issue of high levies by regulatory bodies and copyright organizations, Dr. Nyameke revealed that the association is resorting to legal means to deal with harassment by the named entities.
Over the years, we've had some arrangement with the Copyright Management Organization and the Ghana Music Rights Organization and then the Audiovisual Rights Authority of Ghana with regards to royalty fees, which we have been working with. So hotels have been paying royalty until recently when these copyright management organizations, referred to Cameroon, and has decided to use a new formula for calculating the royalties, which we've had challenge with. We've petitioned the Parliamentary Select Committee on Tourism and Trade. We've petitioned the ministers, in fact 2-3 ministers. We have petitioned the GTA and all the agencies that are concerned.
Now to some interesting twist of events. Various driver unions are locking horns over transport fare increment. One faction announced some price hikes and the other says it's illegal. Sounds funny, right? At least for us as commuters, we obviously don't want to hear of any rise in fares. Who wants to increase their expenditure in these times? Definitely not me.
Some driver unions, precisely the Concerned and True Drivers Union, announced a 30% increase in transport fares, which is expected to take effect from next week Wednesday, September 21, 2022. This, according to the unions, is based on the current economic situation, the prices of fuel as well as the prices of spare parts on the market. The unions have said that this is to ensure that drivers are cushioned in the current economic situation. But the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council have described this action as unlawful.
When the moment fares are increased, it triggers off increment in almost everything. Even if at all somebody had increased his wares yesterday, and then we make an announcement of fare increment today, he'll go back and increase again. Is that not true? So the question is that if we want to do, we normally have to conscientize the public and take this procedure. At the end of the day, when the communique is issued, all press houses are given copies. Then you make sure when you publicize it, then the public's awareness is created. It will soften the tension, and then before we fix a deal and effect it. We are the larger group. GPRTU and then the GRCC are the larger group. And then we are the sole body for the determination of fare increment. And because we are much more aware that our actions leads to trigger off most of the increment in all the general issues that affect the country, we are cautious. We normally have to make sure we have a good reason to make the first step and move to the second step until the fares are effected.
For 20% increase in transport fare is not a joke. To increase 30%, it's not a joke. How do you expect a traveler to survive or your business to survive when at one city you increase your fares by 30%? It's not something that we can encourage.
This is the old Tema station in Accra, close to the Registrar General's department, and we would want to get in touch with some of these drivers, find out what they make of the proposed increment in transport fares by the Concerned and True Drivers Union and what exactly the situation is on the ground.
We can say that we have to increase it because we are facing the problem. We are on the road. Diesel matter is a problem. So far as they increase the diesel, the car owners do they increase their fare. And if you don't take time, if you don't get your fare, your sales, then they take your car from you. So because of that, we too make it we should make it so that you can be surviving. That's why they say that they will increase it by 30%. Go to this Abosokai now. This part, the part that especially let's take it Thai. The way you buy it yesterday, today it will not be so. You see. So there are so many things whereby our drivers attach to the fare matter and then they like to increase it like that way. So I mean that do we the drivers there, our own is right. But we don't have anything from our top men yet.
We've moved actually from the old Tema station to Tema station proper to also engage some commuters on the proposed 30% increment in transport fares, which is expected to take effect from next week. How is this going to impact on commuters?
Edwani boy din bibia boy din afensu transport onsu bonsu kwa akoye din ni kirese transport enu na ekofa edwani ne bre nti yesa edwani onsu beko hai ye ntumi ntobio nti yesra aban no nhwe eho sa eho position nhwe maye no nti petrol ni so kaka mo mo se na be ya yensu ye kwa akoto edwani e be ye fufufu kakra maye. Yes,
no, cause almost chiro, into no best
almost chiro, petrol ni boy din. And this almost 5 being can one, omunya we sales. Enti na ba ni sa, enti aban hu no nhwe bien ye bribi wo petrol ni ho maye. Panicho.
Well, at least it's a relief to know that not everything will be experiencing a jump in prices this month. The almighty fuel price is projected to drop slightly. I'm sure you are probably beginning to experience some dips at the pumps. It really isn't a major reduction, but at least it's better than nothing at all.
On the international fuel market, as monitored by the IES, there were price declines over the last 2 weeks as well. The price of petrol dipped by roughly 11% from its earlier price of $951 per metric ton. In a similar fashion, gas oil price also saw a marginal decrease of 0.54% from its earlier price of $1,098 per metric ton. Same declines were found in LPG price on the international fuel market, dropping by roughly 2%. Because we are price takers, one would have expected some form of price drops on the Ghanaian fuel markets, but that may not materialize due to the fall in the value of the Ghana cedi against the important currency, being the dollar. Over the last 2 weeks, the cedi has depreciated by more than 3.5% against the dollar. That is quite significant a rate. That foreign exchange exposure faced by the important entities, being the DDCs, will be priced in for consumers going forward. And so consumers may not benefit from the fall in the international fuel prices, particularly on gas oil and LPG.
Let's stay in the petroleum sector, and some news came in during the week that some 45 oil marketing companies owe the National Petroleum Authority over 700 million Ghana cedis. That's a lot of money. These debts are margins and levies owed to the Primary Distribution Margin Fund. The NPA has therefore given a 14-day ultimatum to the affected to settle their debts or face sanction.
This is not the first time the National Petroleum Authority, the NPA, has issued a warning to defaulting oil marketing companies who have failed to settle debts owed to the Primary Distribution Margin Fund. The Primary Distribution Margin, which is the tax in the petroleum price build-up and utilized in the distribution of petroleum products across depots, aims to ensure uniformity in petroleum product prices across the country. Prior to the NPA's recent announcement on Tuesday, September 13th, the 2021 Auditor General's report revealed that 28 OMCs have defaulted in the payment of their over 400 million Ghana cedis rescheduled debts to the Ghana Revenue Authority. The National Petroleum Authority confirmed to Citi Business News that these 28 defaulting companies stated in the Auditor General's report were parts of the 45 companies listed in its recent notice. The defaulting companies include Glee Oil Limited, Apex Petroleum Ghana Limited, Sky Petroleum Limited, Champion Oil Company Limited, Union Oil Ghana Limited, and Hack Oil. The NPA is hence giving these companies up to the end of this month to settle the monies owed or risk having the names of their directors and shareholders published in the newspapers, as well as take the necessary lawful action against them without further recourse to them. Speaking to Citi Business News, Communications Manager of the authority, Mohammed Abdul Kudus, assured that his outfit will use all means possible to recover the funds from these defaulting companies.
PDM is part of the margin in the price build-up that is used in paying for inter-depot transfers. So when the bulk oil vehicles pick the product from one depot to the other, that margin is what is used in paying them. But it is normally part of the money that is paid to the OMCs. So the OMCs will take the money and come and retire sale. Okay, but a lot of them have been indebted and for a while have not paid that. And we're seeking to take them through the due process to retrieve the money.
The National Petroleum Authority's notice to the OMCs seems to have already started yielding results, as Mohammed Abdul Kudus disclosed to Citi Business News that his outfit's decision has already compelled some of them to take steps to settle their indebtedness.
Currently, the structure with which we are supposed to do the collection would make it difficult to be able to zero this indebtedness with the OMCs, because they are supposed to collect these margins at the pump and then retire same after a certain period of time. So they have 1 month to pick and come and retire. So that can bring about that a possibility of an OMC getting indebted or not retiring what they have collected from the pump. Until we are able to do a proper segregation where at the point of collecting the money, the various margins are segregated into respective accounts or individuals, it is going to be difficult to zero this particular level of indebtedness. But we're working around the clock. We're not going to just stop at the publication. We'll be coming after them. And trust me, it has already started biting. Many of them are not happy with the publication, and they've started coming to speak to the authority. And I believe that we should be getting a substantial positive results out of these measures that we've taken.
There have been calls for the scrapping of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited BOST margin on petroleum products as part of measures to mitigate the high cost of fuel in the country. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, for one, has insisted it's the way to go, but it appears that this might not see the light of day. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says government has no plan of taking off the 9% margin and that the charge has come to stay.
The BOST margin is a tax imposed on petroleum products, which is used to cover the maintenance and operating costs of petroleum products depots and expansion programs at the depots. It was implemented on the price build-up in 2011 to cover the maintenance and expansion of infrastructure at the state company. In December 2019, it was increased to 6 pesos from 3 and was later increased again to 9 pesos in 2021 after several demands by BOST. Government has in recent times come under fire to remove the margin to cushion petroleum product consumers against high fuel prices. But the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, speaking at the maiden annual general meeting of BOST, insisted the margin has come to stay.
That at least BOST was set up not only as a strategic or security asset to support petroleum product system in the country, but to ensure that it is even available in all parts of the country. But all these assets had been left to ruin, and thanks to the BOST margin, they have been revived. I can promise, Mr. Chair, directors and staff of BOST, I can promise that the BOST margin is not being taken off the petroleum products anytime soon. We will use the BOST margin efficiently. We will use the BOST margin efficiently and effectively to protect the citizenry of this country against the vagaries of private sector interests, which is always profit against the ordinary citizen of this country.
Dr. Opoku-Prempeh also assured of government's commitment to ensuring fuel security in the country. Meanwhile, the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Limited Company achieved massive increases in operational profit from 1.9 million Ghana cedis in 2020 to over 163 million cedis in 2021. Board chair of the company, Eko Hackman, spoke at the AGM.
In spite of the general economic climate in 2021, I'm pleased to inform you that BOST achieved a net profit after tax of 160 million cedis, rounded up, for the financial year, after all provisions, on a turnover of just over 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. This compares to a loss of 291 million cedis in 2020, which in itself contained a provision of 292 million Ghana cedis for deferred taxation, resulting from the revaluation of the company's assets in that year. Of greater significance is the increase in operational profit from 1.9 million cedis in 2020 to over 163 million cedis in 2021. Finally, the increase in the BOST margin from 6 pesos to 9 pesos in June led to an 80% increase in BOST margin revenue from 212 million to 380 million. BOST maintained its position of second place amongst its competitors offering depot services and is on course to become the #1 terminal in line with our 2020 to 2024 business strategy.
The Minister for Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo, further tasked the Board of Directors of BOST to work harder towards making the company a dividend-paying enterprise following this first AGM.
Now to a shocker. Inflation is now at almost 34%. The rate of increase over the period raises a lot of concerns, especially as the festive season approaches. By December, I can only imagine how high this could be.
According to figures from the Ghana Statistical Service, inflation in August 2022 reached over 33.9%, making it the highest recorded in 21 years. It is therefore not surprising that the prices of goods and services shot up significantly. Food inflation for August 2022 was 34.4%, as against 32.3% in July 2022, while non-food inflation was 33.6% in August 2022, as against 31.3% in July of the same year. Professor Samuel Enin is the government statistician, and he gives a breakdown of the Consumer Price Index and inflation for 2022.
In July 2022, the rate of inflation stood at 31.7%, and this has gone up by 2.2 percentage points for the month of August 2022. We see an exact reversal of this on a month-on-month basis. For the first time in 2022, we've recorded the lowest month-on-month rate of inflation, which stood at 1.9%. This also compares with a 2.2 percentage point reduction relative to the rate that was recorded in July 2022. On a month-on-month basis, in July 2022, rate of inflation stood at 3.1%, and for the first time in 2022, the lowest rate has been recorded for the month of August 2022, with a month-on-month inflation at 1.9%. So literally on a year-on-year basis, we say that prices of goods and services on the average between August 2021 and August 2022 have gone up by 33.9%, and on a month-on-month basis between July 2022 and August 2022, prices of goods and services went up by 1.9% relative to the month-on-month 3.1% that was recorded for the period June to July 2022.
Meanwhile, an economist, Dr. Patrick Isumin, says inflation will keep rising until government takes pragmatic steps to tackle the current economic challenges facing the country.
The current bout of inflation is a symptom of many problems. So when you look at the numbers, you see that the inflation is very widespread. Both food and non-food inflation are high, up above 33%. And then also it's both imported and local. So I think we shouldn't get too fixated on fixing the inflation, we should focus on addressing the current challenges of the economy. And it doesn't look like we are going to get a simple or short solution to it. The food inflation is not something you will solve in a matter of weeks or months. Whatever we can do to stabilize the currency, that will help the non-food part, in particular the imported items. But as for the food inflation, we really need to take a longer term view. So there is not an immediate solution to it. If the current economic circumstances don't improve, the inflation will not stabilize.
We turn our attention to one group of people who I must say are probably one of the most resilient I've seen over the period, the men's good customers. With all the challenges they have faced since they began agitating to get their monies paid them, they still haven't backed down. Some of the customers went on a protest during the week and submitted a petition to the president in a bid to get their monies paid them.
This won't be the first time these customers will be hitting the streets in demand of their locked up cash. In one of these protests, the group marched to the house of Nana Appiah Mensah and forced their way into the Trasacco estates at East Legon. The police reacted and arrested some of them while most fled. One of the customers who were arrested was Stephen Abuaje. He fell and hit his head on the ground before his arrest. The impact from the fall has resulted in the loss of his sight.
And then my blind. I'm blind. Dana only me interview no. That day me got tissue here. Me got tissue here. Me tissue here no muna. Yankonamra. It's surgery. 180 million. Me nyesi kanibi. And then madani ni friendly. Me ni no one dey me 180 million kwa. Mesen wade biem misika naka menye sika mfa nko meba boy amene nam wa sika ni ho akola ne tifie bra my mobo
ka se na wona mo
sika ye 86,000
ena
860 million OCDs
ena mo hwe 18,000
omo pe 18,000
on saka se sika no ko ho beto amonye
sika ne kwalebu behwe me ama me ho atomi eni se ne na mabra boy bra
den na waka che aban ni omo che
na me waka ne se na nado ohun ye mobo na nka mani ye mpo na menya misika kakra na me de ye me bibia nka nka ba na o masiko anso biem enso ene hwe abrabo ti esre nado ohun ye mobo.
The customers say they will not renege on their fight for their money. The presentation was done by a child of one of the customers. This won't be the first time these customers will be protesting. But a lot of people think that the government has not been interested really in retrieving their funds for them.
Well, I think that if it is as simple as that, government would have responded long ago. It's just not it. There should be a way out. Yes, I believe so.
Does the government have any tally on the property of Namwan that have been retrieved? How much that is?
I think that not government per se, but there are institutions that should have. Yoko, for instance, should be able to.
The finance minister is on record to have said that government cannot make these payments that the customers demand. What was the thinking of the president when he directed you to take this petition on his behalf?
Well, the finance minister is not the president. I mean, the buck stops with the president.
Are you confident that you're going to get any benefit out of this petition?
Sunday is the first time that we have had an official response. And you heard him, there is also an arranged meeting that we are going to have in the next 2 hours. And so then when we shall delve deep into it.
If you're a business owner and do not issue value-added tax VAT invoices to customers, then please make amends because you risk arrest and prosecution. Officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority in the coming days will be going around on inspection. So the advice is please do the needful to be safe. The move, which is in line with the authority's mandate to improve voluntary compliance, is also part of a larger goal to help the authority achieve its revenue target of about 80 billion Ghana cedis this year.
The initiative by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, follows the rollout of a special exercise by the authority to ensure that businesses and customers act in accordance with the VAT Act 2013, Act 870, by charging, issuing and accounting for VAT appropriately. The enforcement exercise, which began on September 1, 2022, involves the invigilation of shops, mystery purchases and swoops across the country by officials of the authority to ensure increased compliance to help the authority achieve its revenue target for the 2022 revenue collection year. Business owners who are non-compliant with value-added tax issuance or who issue fake invoices could end up in jail for up to 5 years. Head of the Domestic Tax Revenue Division of the authority, Edward Appenton Jamra, whilst explaining further the rationale behind the exercise to Citi Business News, also said the revenue mobilization from VAT was low, thus the need for this exercise.
VAT is one of our taxes that we collect for government. And VAT was introduced for some time now. The performance of VAT in terms of the total tax revenue has not been as expected as a country. Currently, our VAT, total VAT that we collect in this country is below 20% of the total tax revenue. And when you compare our performance to what pertains in our peer countries, you realize that our penetration is one of the lowest in spite of our rates. So currently, as I speak with you, our VAT contribution to our total tax revenue is below 20%. Now the question which comes up is, then why? Why haven't we been able to meet the expected targets? So we have identified a number of challenges which is causing our inability to meet the VAT targets. One of them has to do with non-issuance of VAT invoices for persons who transact business and are required by law to issue VAT invoice. Others is also underreporting, and here they understate the amount that VAT is supposed to be charged on. Then others also do what we call undercarding. The undercarding, you go and purchase item 100 cedis. When you the customer, you know you have paid 100, and the VAT on the 100 is what you have paid. You have some customers, putting card under the invoice, and once they give you the original and you go away, they now rewrite the invoice with a lower amount to indicate a lower VAT that is paid to the state. So there are a number of these challenges that we are having as a country, which is contributing to our inability to meet the VAT expected targets that we are all looking up to. So then what do? We need to initiate a number of compliance activities to ensure that if you are required to issue VAT invoice, you are issuing. If you are required to collect the VAT invoice, you are collecting. If you are collecting, and you are also not only issuing, but you are issuing it for the correct amount.
He, however, urged consumers to demand and take VAT invoices when they purchase items that are taxable to make it difficult for business owners to undercut the state.
we expect each and everyone to comply, ensure that you are issuing your invoice. The customers are also getting their tax invoices. If you go around the city, you see some of our officers, even custom officers, going around. The purpose is that on the sample to find out whether you have demanded the receipt for the items that you purchase. So what it means is that you need to send a message out there. If you buy anything that is taxable and you fail to obtain the required invoice, you can be sanctioned.
For those who haven't yet completed the registration of their SIM cards with the Ghana card, did you experience any interruption in your service this week? I'm sure you didn't after all the hassle you experienced last week. Well, this is because the National Communications Authority pulled the brakes on its earlier directive to the telcos to temporarily block the SIMs of such persons. After it began implementing the sanctions last week Monday and blocking millions of people who hadn't registered their SIM cards with the Ghana card, the exercise is reported to have been halted after a meeting between the telcos and the National Communications Authority on Friday. Citi Business News gathers that there were challenges with the registration system after huge numbers rushed in to register their SIMs following the periodic interruption in the service of the defaulters. Many, including the ECommerce chamber, have expressed concern about the development, lamenting how it was affecting transactions with their customers. Another group, the People's Project, sued the National Communications Authority and the Attorney General over the move, asking the Supreme Court to declare the deadline for the re-registration and the associated punitive measures for non-registration null and void. It argues that the punitive measures are unconstitutional. But with the suspension of the earlier instituted month-long sanctions, what does the public make of this?
I became a report to my own. Enti omo me call hono omo share mami, but this week there me nya sa problem ni bia. No there say e ade a omo boy en kai say ye pese ye sim obi anko register ne sim. Say the be obi di bone ana obi ye bibi bone a ye betumi de trace na ehu na kira kwan. Eni nti na omo ye sa de na e de amayen. Inti se woman ya announcement no woman my deadline now say woman bo bianca say say antwam no woman agyae but woman my ye kodu sa abre no so wanko na wanko anko ye de a na che say nye obi na ekum entwi bo si akono di ni tia age akyerema ti ye da woman ase no de mate anu de mate be omunya bote on say dwadifo no ya na ye ni adaage sa ye yanso ni ehwefie di akone aba ti ya na obekọ akọ nso oba kodi lies oba kwotena ho sa ye na ahometi Tiesra womunya botere ma ye den ya ye beba ba register ebe mpo anko moma boys ni bimla market emeye mayen ye wo ho ye be ye tiesra mu a obuo ni diem ti to MTN fo mi problem anu no moma boys ni mla bonten obi won so obeji so oya mo afa de wo be ye no ye se won register tiesra mu obuo ni diem ye pa mo che ese mi ru mu afa na maba o ma pampa mu ta ya atai eni ama na so me na me de nam enti seminam kwa na mi hia obi a metimi ama na register mi ti go there ma register ka MTN.
The decision by the National Communications Authority seems favorable for some industry players like the ECommerce Association. They were negatively affected by the directive, which they say made it a challenge for them to access their customers and also receive payments from them. Earlier this year, the government introduced the electronic transfer levy as part of its revenue mobilization efforts. This move was heavily criticized by many, including the ECommerce Association of Ghana, arguing that it would erode the gains made in Ghana's cashlight agenda. Months into the implementation of the policy, and it appears the concerns of players of the e-commerce space has become a reality. The Executive Secretary of the ECommerce Association of Ghana, Anita Riafia-Seno, who spoke to Citi Business News on the sidelines of the 10th anniversary launch of tech firm M-Notify, elaborated on the current challenge.
It has had an impact because we had issues in the environment in terms of building trust with customers. And for the very first time, because of the impact of COVID and everything, customers had begun to trust paying on Momo, paying, on cards, and actually placing orders and paying before you deliver. So that was a positive thing for us, and that was because of people paying through Momo. But now what you find is, yes, people are still paying on Momo. It has gone down, but now, whilst before, when someone pays on Momo, it means they've paid. So if you're calling to deliver, they are likely to be on alert. Now you have more customers requesting to pay on delivery, which has always been a problem for us. And now when you call and the person doesn't answer, you've paid, the courier has moved, is a cost, right? So you're losing business for maybe the people changing their minds or something happening as to before. Maybe because they're not trying to avoid paying the levy, they would have probably been paying using a Momo. So we have seen an impact on that, an increase in payments on delivery, which is kind of taking us back into this cash society that we were trying to come out of.
Beyond this was the recent announcement of punitive sanctions by the National Communications Authority against persons who were yet to register their SIM cards with the Ghana card. Failure to do so by the end of the month meant they risk losing their phone numbers. From last week, such persons were not able to make calls nor have access to data service for 48 hours, an occurrence which should be expected all through the month. Anita Riafi-Aseno is concerned that this is further worsening the woes of e-commerce businesses.
It just feels like there's this constant change of posts and things, and a lot of it is not the ordinary Ghanaian or us as business owners' fault. Is that the resources are not available. So it's having an impact, because if you just take off SIM cards or people are not registered and you're blocking them and restricting them, of course it's going to have an effect on us in terms of sales, in terms of people paying us. So we are not really in favor of it. We are saying let's have a bit of patience, let's get the resources in place, let's even use associations and people to help the process. Let's engage. Let's not. We are all. It's all for our good, right? So we feel like let's be a bit patient and allow the process to work, but provide the resources, because it's not in our interest, or even the mobile networks for SIM cards that are active now and are being used to be deactivated when it's through no fault of anybody.
We end in the mining industry, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Suleiman Akone, has expressed worry about illegal structures which have been put up on lands acquired by Newmont, and has thus halted the commencement of the Newmont Ahafo North project in the Ahafo region. Dr. Suleiman wants persons engaged in such illegality to immediately desist from such acts.
Over 9,000 illegal structures have been erected on acquired lands of Newmont Ghana. The affected land is the site Newmont has earmarked for its Ahafo North project. These illegal structures are located at the Yamfo, Techre, Efrisipakrom, Sisuanso, and Adroba. The erection of these unauthorized structures on the concession has since stalled commencement of construction works after receipt of an initial investment capital of $850 million in 2021. Manager, Communication and External Relations of Newmont Ahafo Mines, Samolose, has been speaking on the issue.
So as a matter of fact, we are ready to start construction. However, there's been a few challenges around land access regarding unauthorized structures which have been erected on the, on the mining area. We declared mining area in 2017, and per the laws of Ghana, once the mining area is declared, all structures available there are numbered and given, codes. And the law says that nobody else would have to build unless they seek the, consent or the permission from the leaseholder, who is Newmont. But following this declaration, after a public hearing in 2019, we saw massive speculative structures or unauthorized structures springing up in these areas. And per the law, these structures are not supposed to be paid for. And so that has been the challenge, and this has unduly delayed the start of construction for the Ahafo North project. And it has also led to the suspension of the Ahafo North project, which, as we talk now, the project is on hold. So we have engaged a lot of stakeholders, including
the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Asantehene, who is the overlord of this area, the Nananom, the chiefs, the community groups and the leaders. And out of these engagements, we formed an interagency committee. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and the Regional Minister for Ahafo formed the interagency committee to oversee how to manage these problems of unauthorized structures. And out of this committee, we formed a secretariat, which is where we are now. And the government recommended to Newmont that although these unauthorized structures should not be paid for by law, at least in the interest of peaceful coexistence, we can, just give some relief payment to these people so that we can live with them in peace. And so Newmont committed an amount of 45 million Ghana cedis to pay for these, to pay these people as relief payment.
Dr. Suleiman Nukoni, CEO of Ghana Chamber of Mines, after inspecting some of the illegal structures on Newmont Ahafo Mine acquired land at Techwe in the Tana North municipality of the Ahafo region, condemned the act.
We need everybody on board. We need to extract the resources optimally. And with situations like this, even before investment comes, it's not the very best, My heart actually breaks to see these things. This is not the first time I'm saying this. But to see the extent of this speculative, structures on the concession of a mine is heartbreaking. We need the support of traditional authority, no two ways about it. They listen to the subjects, listen to them. We need them on our side as an industry and as a country. Of course, we need political authority as well. But communities need to understand that their fortunes are tied to that of mining companies.
That will be all for this week's edition of the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV, your most watched business show in the country. For more business stories, check out our website, citibusinessnews.com. Thank you for... Before I leave, let's talk about the Citi Business Olympics happening on the 24th of September at the Eden Heights Sports Complex. I hope you are preparing to come win some trophies. You are warming up and getting your sneakers ready for some volleyball, basketball and the likes. I'll be there myself and hoping to catch you there and interact with you. Well, my name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. Catch you same time next week. Let's connect on Twitter at @mobodu. Stay safe, stay fun. Bye-bye.